now I think we are live. I don't know, maybe. All right. All right. So thanks for joining us today. Today we are doing hidden gems. So what does hidden gems mean? Well, I don't know. What do you think hidden gems means? we sort of were arguing back and forth about what does that mean. I think in general we decided it's a game that people don't talk about enough, right? We like it more than people are talking about it. So that's kind of where I went with that anyway. How about you, Erock? Does that line up pretty much with what you were doing?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I did. These are games that I think are really, really good and deserve a much higher rating and just overall visibility than they seem to get. So I'm on the same page.
Yeah. How about you, John?
They did something completely different. So figure it out, you know.
You just let us know as we
No,
go.
we went back and forth about what this is. I think we're all pretty much on the same page. It's really just games that I think are good that I don't think get enough love, or I've never even seen somebody play, or I can't bribe people to play because they're just like, it sounds dumb, but it's a great game if you just give it a shot. Um, I think the main thing is back in the day, and we mentioned this before, you didn't have 1,000 games come out a year. Kickstarter hadn't become the biggest board game retailer yet. So when you got a game, you played it a ton. You got to know the nuances, you developed a meta, you had fun with it, and then you moved on when a new game came out you loved, but there was a lot more plays. And nowadays, like, there's a lot of games where I get to the table once and then just never cease play again. So I do miss that aspect of gaming back in the day. And it made for more longevity of your games. You got more bang for your buck. You got more plays out of it. And if it was a game you really loved, you got to play it until you were bored of it. So a little bit of my list is like games that I used to play a lot of that have fallen out of favor simply because people played it a bunch and then another 10,000 games came out and it's been, forgotten about.
Yeah, that may a little bit be us and sort of the people we associate with, always doing the newest, hottest, whatever thing. I mean, there are probably plenty of people out there still just have 5, 10 games in their collection and play them all the time. But definitely, right? I mean, a game could have been super popular and famous 20 years ago, but if you're new to the hobby, you don't know that, right? Like, unless you hear somebody talking about it, right? Everybody played that game back in the day, but nobody's really playing it now, so you just haven't heard about it. So
That
yeah.
was the thing, the genesis of the list of just like, hey, there's a bunch of games out there that people may not know about or have never played because it's been so long. Let's bring some shine on that and see if we can get a spotlight on them.
Yeah. And so another thing is, how did I was thinking about how am I going to order this, right? So I got a top 10 here. Erock's got a top 10. John's got a top 5, so he's just going to make fun of us for 5 picks before he jumps in. I didn't have any good way to necessarily order these, so I just went objectively ordered them, and I looked at the number of ratings each of the 10 games that I picked has on Board Game Geek. And so I'm doing sort of the inverse of that, right? So whichever one of my 10 had the most, I'm going to list as my number 10. And the one that has the least number of people who have rated it on Board Game Geek, I put it number 1. So I thought, well, that probably means it's the most hidden, right? All of these are gems. So which one was the most hidden, I guess, was how I was going with my ordering. How about you guys?
I don't think there's going to be a lot of overlap on our lists.
No, I don't think so either. Erock,
I doubt it too.
do you have any rhyme or reason about why you went one with number 1?
Yeah,
versus
actually,
10?
similar, but a little bit different. At first, I was going to order them like my least favorite to my most favorite, but that got really hard. So I just simplified it. And basically, mine are all inverse ranked by their rank on Board Game Geek. So my highest ranked game on Board Game Geek will be my number 10, and my lowest ranked game on BGG will be my number 1. I figured that's the easiest way I could possibly do this and make some sense out of it.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, mine almost basically aligned that way. There would be 2 that would be swapped if I just did them by inverse of ranking. Same if I did by the number of people on Board Game Geek who have marked it as owned. It would be almost the same list, right? Slight order tweaking. I couldn't really do it by rating. I mean, one of these games I rate a 9, one I rate an 8, and all the others I rate a 7.5, right? So like a lot of these games are really close in rating to me, and some of them are a little hard to compare apples to oranges because like one of them, well, I'll mention that when I get to number 1, but I think it's particularly a good game to play with kids. But anyway, all right, so just for fun, I decided we'd put up pictures of the game and I wouldn't list the name of the game. So we'll put up a picture and we'll start talking about it. We'll give you a little bit of time to guess what the game is. So if you in the chat or playing along later at home while it's not live, want to try to guess what these games are, what these hidden gems are, because to be honest, the point of this video is we don't expect you to recognize a lot of these games. But, you know, you never know. There are plenty of people out there that know a lot more about board games than I do. So maybe you'll recognize all these. We'll see.
Well, plus, you know, I'm a lot more cult of the new in general. So my gems might not be as hidden as some other people's gems here. So
well, I've seen all three lists, and I think I win the hidden award. But we'll let everybody else decide on their own, and let us know in the comments below after the video's done. All right, I think I had mine up first. Yes, right. And so this is my highest rated game. All right, this is a game I rate a 9. It's from 2015. It's got like 2,500 people on Board Game Geek have rated it, which, by the way, the games on Board Game Geek that have the most ratings are like 120,000 ratings for things like Catan and Carcassonne, those kind of games, right? So that's sort of the scale we're looking at here. Those big games can have a lot. But anyway, this is also ranked 1,217 on Board Game Geek. But interestingly enough, it's about to get a new version from a Spanish publisher. So this game, if you recognize it from the picture, is called Kraftwagen. But they are about to release Kraftwagen Age of Engineering, which is shifting it to the United States 1910-20s sort of era of automobiles. And they're changing up some things. Some people complain there's a little bit of luck in this game with the card draw that can come up, the cards that are valuable for technology. But you've got so many choices. Do you want to focus on engines? Do you want to focus on car body? Because you got to put those two things together to make a car. It's got this cutthroat stuff about putting out customers, and you can customer service discs you can use workers to put out. There's just so many choices of what you can do in this game. It's a little bit sort of a point salad in that regard, except you're competing over all of this stuff. So you could do really well in some area and score no points there just because everybody cut you out from what the customers are. So I really like this game, particularly if you play it at the higher player counts like 4. So anyway, that is Kraftwagen, and that is my first pick. All right, and I believe, Erock, you are next. So here is the picture of your game, and I didn't know it from I know what it is, but I didn't know it from the picture. So go ahead.
Excellent. So this is a game that came out. I didn't do as much research as Steve, so I'm not going to be able to tell you dates and names and, you know, point people out and stuff. But this game came out quite a while ago. It was a Kickstarter, and there weren't that many copies made at that point. It was a successful Kickstarter, but it wasn't like, you know, Gloomhaven or whatever. It funded and people got their games. And I basically never heard of it. And then I went over to my buddy's house one day and he was like, hey, let's play this game. I was like, okay, cool. Let's give it a shot. And it was really cool. Is like nothing I've ever played before. I thought it was very well produced, like especially for being some indie game out of nowhere. And this game is Soul Last Days of a Star, and very similar to Steve's game. This one actually just had a second fundraising campaign, and they're in between the funding and the delivery at this point. So I expect this one's going to get more buzz as these games actually do come out. But if you missed all of this up to this point, see if you can get your hands on a copy. It's a really cool game in which you're trying to basically, I'm going to give you the 30-second pitch. There's a bunch of different civilizations. Your sun is going to blow up. So you need to gather energy to get out of there. And whoever gathers the most energy successfully gets out of there before the star blows up. So the board is basically a sun, and it has the different levels of the sun. So you need to go deeper and deeper where all of the, you can get energy out at the fringes, but inside, that's where the real energy is. But you got to construct these gates to go in between the different layers of the sun. And then you construct the buildings that do things like get you energy or give you more sun divers, which are the little ships, or get you, the actual victory points, that kind of energy. And that's how this game plays out. And meanwhile, your ships are rotating around the sun, so your position's never fixed. If I set a gate up right here, in 2 turns, I'm going to be over here. So I'm probably not even going to use that gate anymore. But somebody else can use my gate, and I'm going to get a tiny little bonus when they do that. So it's kind of cooperative in nature, in that you're kind of building this shared landscape for which everybody can use. But it is still ultra competitive because it's all about who can gather the most victory points from the sun. I think it's fantastic. Like I said, you're probably going to have a hard time finding a copy right now, but I imagine the secondary market's going to pick up once that second fundraising campaign ships. So, Last Days of a Star.
So your idea of a hidden gem is a recently successfully funded second printing Kickstarter.
It's my number 10. I'm just saying. Oh, and hey, to say, it is currently ranked 1,873. And I think that is a crying shame.
I mean, hey, look, Gloomhaven could be a hidden gem if you loved the game so much that you thought not enough people were talking about it.
Not enough
right?
people. I should put it on my list. Not enough people know about Gloomhaven.
Well, I mean, to be honest, outside of sort of a very niche set of hobby people, maybe Gloomhaven isn't a game that's on a bunch of people's radar, right? I mean, if you play lighter party whatever games, kind of like John, we talked about the kind of games we used to see at the game store, right? Like, you wouldn't pull Gloomhaven out of the game store. Nobody would ever pull that out. So if all you ever got exposure was game night at the game store, maybe you wouldn't even know what
a lot of party
Gloomhaven
games
was.
And light games.
Yeah, I mean, games that maybe would take 2 hours or less without a lot of setup, right? Something like that. So, yeah, I don't know. You never know.
This is a 30-minute argument, so we're just going to move on.
Moving on.
Number 9.
Spoiler alert, nobody actually picked Gloomhaven, but all right. Yeah, so number 9. So here is my number 9, the picture of it there. And, it's interesting. I actually have 2 sets of this game and sort of modified it a little in what tiles I took out so that I could combine this so I could play with more players, right? So I have a set because it's basically simultaneous action. It's a closed draft, right? Everybody chooses a tile from the ones that you're handed, and then you put this on your board because it's a city builder. And this is called NEOM, and it's from 2018. It's ranked 1444 on Board Game Geek. But I really enjoy this. It's got a lot of the sort of Seven Wonders feel to it. Not only that it's drafting, but when you draft, you take these tiles and you put them down, and some of these tiles, they produce resources, and you put a little marker up at the top of your board to signify that you now make that resource, and that's points for you, and you can use that. But then your neighbors can use it, and they pay you to use it. And if they build like roads to connect to you, it makes it cheaper for them to use it too. So anyway, that gives me a lot of the Seven Wonders feel, except I actually like the sort of build a city on a grid idea more than I like just slapping down cards for my civilization in Seven Wonders. So I like the theme, right? I like city builders. I like building a little grid of a city. And it's not just slap anything down anywhere either. There's roads, and you have to connect these roads, and the roads matter as far as how some of the things score. And it's interesting in that it snowballs, in the earlier parts, you draft these certain things that allow you to build the better things that come later. Sort of like how you have 3 different eras in, Seven Wonders. So anyway, that's my game for my number 9 pick. That is called NEOM, the City of the Future, which isn't just some made up thing. That is the name of the city of the future they were theoretically building in Saudi Arabia. They may have changed what that name is, or they've definitely changed what they're building. But anyway, a lot of interesting construction stuff going on in Saudi Arabia in case you're interested in that kind of stuff. But yeah, City of the Future, NEOM. All right, that was my number 9. And so now here is a picture of Erock's number 9. Looks kind of boring, man.
I love this game. This is going to be and has been one of my all-time just favorite games to have around. I'm not saying it's in my top 10. No, it's not. Okay, but I love this game. It is so much fun. It is a game about standing in line in Poland during the Cold War. That's what the game is about.
Oh man, grab the kids. It's a blast of family entertainment.
They might learn something.
Captivating, right? This game is Kolejka, which I got from, I don't remember exactly the name, but it was definitely from some kind of museum or foundation or something in Poland. And and it's really cool. The rule book's like full of all these, like, it tells you about what life was like during the Cold War in Poland and how, they had bread lines and things like that. And so, like, nothing was ever in the stores and stuff, and you stand in line all day and maybe you got something and maybe you didn't. And that's this game. Like, it starts out with, you're given like a laundry list of things you need. Maybe you need like five furnitures and 4 clothings and 3 foods and whatever. And then throughout the course of the game, you need to stand in line and get these things. But you also get a handful, a deck of cards out of which you draw a hand. And the cards allow you to mess with stuff. So, like, one of the cards might be like, I borrowed somebody's baby, and you get to go to the front of the line. Or one of the cards might be like, I ratted you out to the Politburo, and then that person goes farther back in the line. Or, my personal favorite is, let's just invert the line entirely so that last is first and first is last. And you can also mess with the things in the stores.
That wouldn't cause a riot at all.
How did this theme not catch on? It sounds so evocative.
But you can also mess with the stuff in the stores. Maybe you're first in line for food, but what you really need is a jacket. So you can play a card and move that jacket over to this store so that when you go up there, you can get that. And this game's really cool. It's not super long. It's really fun and engaging, and it makes sense. So I feel like you can play this game with almost anybody because it'll take like I'm not going to say a couple minutes, 10 minutes? It'll take 10 minutes to explain the game. And then that's it. You're off to setting yourself up in line and messing with the queues and stuff. So I absolutely love it. If you can find a copy anywhere, I highly encourage you to get Kolejka.
What it really needs is a better looking board, at least from that picture.
So this fits the list perfectly. This is a great selection, Erock. And I also now know there is a game with a take that card. It says, "Hey, let me borrow that baby."
Yeah,
I would not have guessed that.
Yes, indeed.
Sure that it's a take that card, because I remember a lot of times where I'd be like, "Take this baby, please, from me."
So yeah, who wants his baby?
Also, do you know if you're pronouncing it correctly?
No, I'm
Okay.
settling on Kolejka. I also like Kolejka. I think that actually sounds better, but I think it's actually Kolejka.
I'll have to ask some Polish people next time I see my Polish friends how it's pronounced, and then I will let you know. Not all of you, just Erock.
It'll be a secret.
Yeah.
Only one person's getting yelled at for this.
All right, that was number 9. We are on to number 8 here. So there is my picture. So this is ranked 1641 on Board Game Geek. 1,660 people have actually rated it. It is the most recent game on my list, actually. It is from 2021, but I feel like this game totally flew under the radar, and I don't know why. I mean, it had like a Rodney Smith's Watch It Played How to Play tutorial, and it had coverage from the Dice Tower and Game Boy Geek, and, like, the publisher, which this publisher isn't particularly known for supporting their games as far as media goes. It seems like they put out all the things, but I just didn't see anybody talking about this game or playing this game. But it is my favorite of the Luke Laurie games where you pull things back and something happens when you do that, and that is Cryo. So I really like the theme here. It's a weird, like, these factions on this spaceship have sabotaged it, and it's crashed into this planet, and you've got to get survivors underground before the sun sets because they'll freeze above ground, but you really only care about the survivors from your own faction. And you have these drones going out to the surface and doing stuff, picking up resources or picking up these little modules or whatever that you put on your drone station. Drones are your workers, and when you recall them, they attach to different things, and then they trigger those different things depending on how you've built that sort of engine. But also it has multi-use cards, right? So every card is like in-game scoring opportunity, or you can discard it for resources, or it gives you a tech upgrade, or it's a ship. I think that's 4 things that you can do for it. So you'll see that's a thing that I like a lot, are multi-use cards. So, like, it's got all this stuff going on that I love about Luke Laurie designs, plus some stuff that you don't normally see that I like the multi-use cards. And so anyway, that's why Cryo is my number 8. I highly recommend it if you like sort of worker placement games, basically.
Choice.
All right. So next up is Erock's number 8.
Excellent. So first, we're going to backtrack about 4 minutes, and I'm going to tell you, because I know you were all waiting for it, Kolejka currently ranked 1,962 on Board Game Geek. And with that, we'll come back to the present. And as you can see, the picture for my number 8, which probably just looks like a whole bunch of card stuff. And that's kind of what's going on in the game. This is a game by Ryan Laukat, who I think is fantastic. I love everything that he does, from the whole conception to writing the stories to producing the games and printing them and sending them to you by his own hand, I guess. He does this whole thing. This is one of his earlier games. It was a re-implementation of City of Iron, and this is City of Iron 2nd Edition. If you watch our channel at all, I do mention this game every once in a while because I really enjoy this game. It's a civilization game, but it gives you a lot of different options on how you want to approach that. And it's a civilization game in the way that Through the Ages is a civilization game, in which you're kind of building up a tableau and there's a river of cards that just keeps flowing and flowing and flowing. And the game will end when that river of cards is gone. This is more of a limited civilization game, unlike Through the Ages or something. You don't start at like the Stone Age and work your way all up through like space travel. But you're building up your own little like culture civilization. You might be the frogs or the lizards or whatever, and you're building up your own little thing. Each one of them has slight little asymmetrical differences. But one of the things I really love about this game is, like I mentioned before, it gives you options. So if you want to, you can play the cards off the board. You can buy the cards off the board. You can increase your scores by doing things like that, gathering certain things and making the most of things and things like that. Or you also have a deck of cards, and you start the game with just a couple of these cards. But the cards give you actions and abilities also. So if you want to, you can spend some time and some energy and effort into buying more of these cards, which then also gives you a different way to maneuver around the board and do different things. And there's also military, but you don't have to take part in the military. You don't directly attack each other per se. There are these places that are out there, kind of like outposts, and you can go and conquer the outposts. And I can go and take it from you, kind of a thing. But if I don't ever go and take an outpost, you can't take anything from me. So it's entirely voluntary whether you want to play the warfare part of this game or not. I just really like how this whole game just comes together. It's almost like there's 3 different things, but they mesh together so well in this game as you're building up this tableau. It's a bit much. There's a lot going on in this game. It's a long play, and I love it. And that is City of Iron 2nd Edition, which I have 2 rankings for because there's City of Iron and City of Iron 2nd Edition. And just real brief, they just fixed a couple of things in the 2nd Edition. For instance, the 2-player game was a little wonky in the 1st edition, and they fixed that. So just a couple of things like that. They streamlined the turn structure a little bit. Otherwise, it's exactly the same game. But the 1st edition's ranked 1757, and the 2nd edition is ranked 2130. And that is a travesty, especially because the 2nd edition is better than the 1st edition. So it at least should be higher than that, is all I'm saying.
I wonder if this isn't as highly rated just because I don't know. I mean, Ryan Laukat's done a lot of stuff, right? So his fans probably consume those other games that are sort of in that same universe. What's that universe? Arzium? I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think that's right. Arzium.
And this isn't in that universe, right? So,
well, like you said, the 1st edition had some issues, and when board games are moving so fast, if you stumble, you're in the rearview mirror. And you can release the 2nd edition and you can fix things, and that's great, but you're never getting that hype back again.
Yeah, I hear you, but this is one of those things, like, I had 1st edition, and I thought this game was fantastic. And I only really learned of the problems when they came out with a 2nd edition and said, hey, we fixed this stuff. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that stuff was broken, but now that you mention it, that is better, kind of a thing. So, I feel like it's a great game. If you got 1st edition, play it. It's awesome. 2nd edition's fantastic. It's just awesome. Good luck probably finding a copy. This is one of his first games. It's probably going to be hard to find one. I'm sure they're not technically in print anymore. So,
well, it's definitely better than that list of Monopoly games where people were putting in the chat. So.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so that was what was that, number 8? All right, so we are on to number 7, and this is my number 7 here. This is another game that has multi-use cards, but this is Richard Breese, who you might know from the Keyflower series of games. But this is a game that's not a Key series game, but it's from him. And so speaking of the multi-use cards, on your turn you can do one of like 3 different actions. There's one that allows you to get cards, and then the other one allows you to move, which is you're trying to move your animals up these tracks on the different continents to ultimately win the game. But the main action you spend most of the time doing is the menagerie action, and that's when you're sort of building up these animals that are in your menagerie in front of you. So you have these cards, and you can play them to upgrade an animal. So if it's the same type of creature, you add the card to that creature, and it gives it more of these tags and more population. You can use a card that doesn't match the same type as the creature, and then it doesn't increase their population but gives them the tags. Each of the cards, including having these tags and the name and the creature type, they also have a special ability for the creature, so you can evolve one creature into another creature. And there's a bunch of little rules about what you can and cannot do, but ultimately you get these tags on these cards, and then you trigger a movement, and the different tags on cards allow you to move further up the track when you move. And so it's just sort of a race to beat other people up these different tracks. And I don't know, I just really enjoy playing the game. The art is bad. The cover is generally recognized as one of the wonkiest because of the eyes on the animal. I don't have the cover here, but you could look it up if you want for a laugh. And again, it's just a multi-use card thing for me, I guess, right? So if you like multi-use cards, you'll probably like this game. If you don't, then I don't know, you might like it, but that was the real draw for me. It's also a little competitive, which I like. So you got to enjoy competing with people over stuff, jumping over and getting something before somebody wants it or whatever. So anyway, that's Inhabit the Earth from Richard Breese. That is from 2015, and 1,204 people have rated it, but it is only ranked 2,542 on Board Game Geek.
I thought you were going to pick the entire Key series.
Well, he's not done.
Key to the City London, I really enjoy, which is basically Keyflower, but it's way, nowhere near as highly rated as Keyflower. So Keyflower is pretty highly rated. None of the other ones probably are. And to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of any of the others, but I do love Keyflower and Key to the City London. All right, over to you, Erock, for your number.
Cool. I feel like you're doing a much better job. I'm probably dragging us down, so I'm going to try to pick up my pace here a little bit as we go. For those of you out there,
25 games to get through.
For those of you out there in the peanut gallery, this art may seem familiar. That's because I'm going back-to-back Ryan Lockett games here. This game that you're looking at now is a Pressure Luck game. Pressure Lockett. Pressure Lockett. Oh, I like it. All right. I'm blaming you when this goes over. Just saying. Anyhow, this is a Pressure Luck game. A lot of people enjoy the game Celestia. This is Celestia, except you're going into a dungeon and you can buy buildings. It is really cool. The dungeon is a small deck of cards, and like every time you flip one over, maybe nothing happens. Cool. And then like everybody decides, are you going further or you're not going further? If you go further, you flip over another card. Maybe it's again nothing. Cool. You got deeper. Every time you go into, you get an item card for every room that you stay in. And these things you can trade them in to buy, like that's your currency to buy the buildings in the game, to maybe give you more lives or to give you more coins or things like that. Basically, everybody has 4 health to start with, and there are monsters. If somebody flips over one of the monsters, it might do 2 damage. Now you have 2 of your 4 health. And do you go on farther? That's this game. It is Celestia, but it's in a dungeon. I love the addition of the extra cards that you buy, and it just kind of maybe gamifies it a little bit, but it's so enthralling. I love this game. It's great. Megaland.
That's what this list is about, right? This game is on my radar now. I've never been particularly interested in Ryan Lockett games, although I guess I have Artifacts Inc., which I think is his, which I like. But this, the way you described that, I'm like, okay, now, and this I'm interested in. All right, cool.
It's one of those themes when you start a sentence and say, okay, in this game you delve into a dungeon. I'm immediately at an 8 or like interest wise. Tell me more.
Right.
So yeah, that's great. I've never played that one. I do love Lockhead games. I've played most of it. I haven't played that, but now I want to.
This game has been on like mega sale many times too.
I
Like
think we got it for
inexpensive.
$8
Yeah.
at Target or something like that. So yes. And
All
I
right.
was very much surprised. This is one of those that we like did an unboxing for the channel for, and then it was like, well, we may as well play it kind of a thing. And we didn't expect anything. It was awesome. I mean, I like Celestia. I like this a lot better. Like it, and Celestia is a good game. So that kind of just tells you, like, I was like, wow, I can't believe we got this for $8. This is ridiculous.
Celestia, Dungeons, and Lockhead. Like, what else could you want?
Yeah.
Right?
All right, let's see. That was number 7. All right, so let's move on to my number 6. So my number 6 is, we did a preview of this on the channel for the Kickstarter campaign. This is a little ways back, right? So this is from 2020. Gosh, 2020? I would have thought it was a little bit older than that. But you're building a koi pond. So every turn there's this central area, and you have to draft a fish and a feature, and you have to put them into your koi pond, and it's just a puzzle about how am I going to score these things. And there's a bunch of different stuff to score. The fish typically are 2 different colors. There are single color fish that also give you an extra point if you take those. But then so putting those fish around in interesting patterns is cool, but it's the features that tell you how those fish score. So, one might be, I need to be surrounded by red fish, or I need to have white fish in this row to score points, or, whatever it is. So it's really a little bit of a solitaire puzzle, and that you're just trying to puzzle out your own thing, except that the person before you is going to take the thing that you want, draft it out of that center, right? So there is that, well, it could be direct interaction, I guess, if you were specifically hate drafting somebody, or definitely that indirect where somebody, is taking something and that affects you because it affects, things do slightly rearrange where they are next to each other every time somebody takes something. But anyway, this is a fun one that I think is sort of a gateway level game, played with my kids. The art is beautiful. I have the acrylic tile version, which looks like it has some depth to it, which is neat, with a pond. But the cardboard version they made was also very nice and very inexpensive. So I definitely recommend Kohaku is the name of it. I don't know if I said that. Kohaku, the guy who designed it, Danny Devine, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, is also the artist and the designer. So that's, speaking of Lockett, here's another guy that did that. Yeah, so anyway, 743 ratings on Board Game Geek, ranked 2,468. 7.
Delving a dungeon?
Changes.
Building a koi pond.
You're the one who complains nobody wants to play a bicycle racing game with you. Well,
Don't spoilers.
yeah. No, but this game, Kohaku, yeah, sure. I tell you, let's build a koi pond. And people are like, yeah, I show you the art, and everybody's in as soon as I show them the box or the pieces. So it's got that hook. All right.
Bicycle racing.
All right, Erock, I got your picture up here for your number 6. What are we looking at?
All right, so this is going to look like a cutesy little chibi kind of game. This is basically a tile drafting, placing, engine building kind of game. This is called Tales of Glory. This game is awesome. Like I said, so every round you're going to draft a tile from the middle of the board. There's a little sequence, a little gamey way that you do that. But the point is everybody gets a tile from the middle of the board. Then you need to slot it into your growing empire, as it were. And when you slot them in, there's a lot of things that can happen. You're going to have to pay for it through these various different resources that you can also gather on the tiles as you place them and whatnot. And sometimes well, first of all, you have to match up diamonds. If the side of a tile doesn't have a diamond on it, there's nothing there. Like there's no pathway there. So you match up diamonds on the sides of the cards, and sometimes they have things inside those diamonds. And if you complete a picture, then you get that thing. So a lot of them have like half of a key. So if you line up 2 half keys when you slot the things next to each other, you get a key, which then you can use later as a kind of currency. And the whole game, you're basically building up these opportunities to have more things. The keys are going to unlock like the chests. So if I place a tile that has a chest that has 5 coins in it, Once I get a key, I can set that key on that chest. Now I have 5 coins. So this whole game is kind of working this relationship between what you can make and what you can do with that. I think it's really good. You basically play until all the tiles are gone. It's kind of like solo Carcassonne in that the solo, like I'm building my own thing, you're building your own thing, but we're also kind of competing to get the tiles out of the middle. But I think it's pretty simple as far as it goes. There's a whole lot of, oh, what does that symbol mean? What does that symbol mean? But most of the time it's like, well, you have to spend the gem, or you have to spend a potion, or you have to, like, that kind of a thing. And the same kind of things you get on the tiles. So it's not that much. After 2-3 rounds of this game, you know exactly what's going on. And then it's just a matter of, now, how do I get the most points out of this? I think it's been largely overlooked. I don't know, maybe there were production issues. Quite frankly, when we got our copy, it was misprinted. So I emailed the company, and they, for free and graciously, sent me another set of tiles, and we played it, and that's a great game. So, but maybe little things like that, like just set it off the rails and people don't get to see it. But I think it's awesome, and if you get a chance, I think you should play it. It's called Tales of Glory.
Nice. All right, I'm going to try to switch the slideshows over here because John has joined the chat. We are
welcome to the party.
We are at number 5 now, and whoa, okay, that definitely is the wrong size. Let me fix that, and let's see if I can figure out how to fix that the right size. All right, John, you can go ahead and start. I got a picture up here for you. You can go ahead and start talking about yours.
Right, so this is a game of, I wouldn't say area control, but political intrigue, and it's kind of set in like a Game of Thrones-ish universe, and essentially you have different regions that you're trying to gain influence over, and different people that are going to give you the different resources. But if somebody influences them before you can get to them, they get to keep that person, and you're not going to be able to. And it's just a very tight game of trying to gain influence in the areas that matter, trying to gain just enough influence in this area to score a little bit of points, maybe fighting a little bit over here. And you've always got to watch your back because someone's coming in and they could sneakily just gain more influence than you are. And the amount of cards and stuff you spend is very tight in this game. You can't afford to waste anything. So you have to be efficient while shoring up the areas that are the weakest while gaining in the areas that you really want the most. So it's a very thinky area control / influence kind of game. And it's called Royals from Arcane Wonders. Really fun game. Really nice components on it. Really plays fun. And people enjoyed it when it came out, but it just kind of immediately lost buzz. Like, people were like, that was a good game, and they moved on. And I just haven't seen it talked about since then. I haven't seen anyone play it, and it's one of those games that's just like, it's really good, but there's nothing like unique about it. There's nothing that makes it stand out in this Kickstarter market, and there's so many other games coming out. So, like, if people gave Royals a chance, I think there were people that would find it to be like one of their new favorite games, but because it doesn't have that like crazy hype behind it, it just kind of just sits there collecting dust, and I think that's a shame. I think Royals is a really underrated game that more people should play.
I agree with your synopsis of the situation, because I remember when this game came out and a couple of friends of mine said, you would really like that game. And then I never got around to it and never heard of it again. So that's exactly right.
I didn't realize this was Arcane Wonders. This may have also not necessarily flown under the radar for me, but disappeared off my radar if I hadn't been, was it the cruise or the cruise? They gave it away, right, as one of the welcome gifts on the cruise. So I got a copy, and of course, like, all right, this looks cool. And I remember you talking about it. It was sort of, they had a lot of buzz at Dice Tower Convention that year, the year before the cruise or whatever. So I got it, we played it, and I'm like, this is great. And yeah, so we, it's in my collection. We'll break it out. We'll play it whenever. It's it's good stuff. All right, what's up next? That is my game. All right, so this is my number 5. It is from Scott Alms. So Scott Alms is probably most famous for the Tiny Epic series of games, but this is not a Tiny Epic game. This is not from Gamelin. Who is this? Floodgate, maybe? I don't remember who the publisher is offhand. But it is also from 2020. 740 people have rated it. It's ranked 3,374. And the name of it is Cosmic Colonies. And so it's a polyomino game. You're trying to fill up your asteroid with these different buildings to score some points. And you got to get resources to be able to build. You pay resources to get the polyominoes, which are the buildings that you put on your asteroid. But one of the cool things I like about this is you have 2 cards. Is it 2 cards that you have? Well, you have cards in yours, so you have 3. You have cards in your hand, and you're going to play a couple of them. Maybe you have 4, and you play 2. I can't remember the numbers now, but you have cards in your hand, and you're going to play 2 of them in that round. But the 2 that you play get passed to your neighbor. So you might have a really good card, but you might want to hold on to it and not give it to your neighbor right away. But then that also means you can't play it. And it's got one of these things where all the cards have a number and an ability, right? So the ability for something might be really strong, like you get a bunch of the resources out of the sort of central thing, but it goes later in turn order. And if everybody else ahead of you played cards to also take resources, sure, now you can carry a ton of resources, but they're not there because everybody took them all, right? So, the same thing with like wanting to be able to buy one of the polyominoes. There's only one of each shape on offer each round, I think. So you want to jump in there early to buy it, but if you play some other card that might have a better ability, you might have to pay less to buy it or something like that. So it's got that push and pull, like, when do I play this card because of the number versus the ability, but also when do I play this because I'm giving this to my opponent, this cool card, right? So you may want to sit on a card for a while. So anyway, just because of that, the card play there, I think is fairly unique. I don't remember another game offhand where you pass the cards that you play to your neighbor. Yeah.
No, me either. Except for that, it sounds like El Grande. Like my favorite part of El Grande is
it's not an
the
area
whole push
control
and
game,
pull
though.
with, do I get troops or do I go early? And same thing with the cards on the board. Is like, if I don't go early, I'm not going to get to play that card.
Yeah, I mean, games like Mission Red Planet have that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so there are other games that have that sort of mechanism.
But I don't think I can recall anything where you pass. The only thing I can think of is what's the little chessy Onitama?
Oh yeah, right. Onitama has that sort of mechanism.
Yeah.
Although that's
that
only a
what I
2-player.
think of.
That's only a
Right.
2-player game, where this is. So that's a more even direct sort of competition, not wanting to give your player a card. In fact, if you've ever played Onitama with somebody, Adam, who will sit on a card and just never play it because it sort of cripples you to never be able to do that thing which they could theoretically do to you. It's not a fun game, actually, when somebody plays like that. So anyway, but Cosmic Colonies, I don't play games really at 2 players much, so you'll play it at 4, so it's not quite so much like, yeah, you'll give it away, but also once you give it away, if you give it away early, you might even come all the way around back to you, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so that is my pick for number 5. Erock.
I think it's called Arcanum or something. When you play a card, it gives your neighbor things, so you have to try to get what you want without giving too much good stuff away.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, cool. Well, Erock's game is just given away here in the picture because it's all over the board.
Yeah, it's all over the board. So I have a couple of pretty niche games on here. This is one of them. This game is Bezzerwizzer. It's a trivia game. I love trivia. I like, sitting in the bar and playing trivia against 800 people in the world. I like trivia. I think this is the best trivia game I've ever played. It's really cool. So there's like 20 different categories, right? And every round, you pass around a bag that has tiles in it for every category. And you reach in and you pull out 4. So you have no idea what questions you're going to be asked. And then now you're going to see these are the 4 categories. So I might get something like fashion, movies, history, and sports. Now I need to rank those. I'm going to go 4, 3, 2, or 1. I'm going to get 4 points. Like, I want to put the thing I think I'm going to know for 4 points and the thing I probably not going to know for 1 point. So you kind of gamble with yourself on what you're going to know out of the 4 things that you drew out of the bag. I haven't played this in quite a while, but we used to play a lot of it back in the day. And I like playing in teams. You get teams of 2 or teams of 3, because it's technically a 4-player game, but there's nothing says you can't be 4 teams that play this game, and I just think it's a lot of fun. If you like trivia, if you don't like trivia, don't even bother. But if you do like trivia, I think this is the best one. And I'm going to catch up on a little bit of statistics. I don't think I've said anything in a while. So Megaland is ranked 2491, Tales of Glory 2671, and Bezzerwizzer 2675.
I'm already in the 3000s.
I know. I spent a while in the 2000s.
All right, cool. Well, that was our number 5. So let's go on to our number 4s. John, I got a picture of somebody holding a hand of cards up here for you.
Yeah, there's that's the whole game. It's a deck of cards. I love games like this. That's the rules are simple. It's just literally what it says on the cards is how the game is played. And this is a perfect example of that. You're collecting different fantasy races and creatures and things like that. And you're making the best possible hand that you can. And after so many rounds, depending on player count, you score your hand. And that's the entire game. I just taught you how to play Fantasy Realms. But what makes it different is there's like the different things you can shoot the moon for. Like it'll say, hey, if you have these other 2 items in your hand at the end of the game, this is worth 100 extra points. Now, are you going to try to do that? Because you might not even see the card. It might not come out of the deck. Someone else might be holding on to it because like the 100 points sounds really good. I'm going to try to collect that. So it's a matter of just trying to get, you got combo pieces and you got different races, and I'm going to build armies this turn, and I'm going to want to get the king and the queen because they're worth bonus points if they're with armies, and you're really just building the best possible hand that you can, and it's a very interesting game with a lot of interplay in it, a lot of like switching gears when you need to. You're like, you know what, I'm never going to see the king and queen, I'm going to just go for this instead. Plays pretty quickly, teaches well, has really cool components. All the rules are on the cards themselves. It's got kind of a little bit of everything that I like in games. And this isn't, it's kind of a known game. People like it, but I think there's a lot of people that haven't played this. And for how easy it is to slot, it goes up to like, I think 6 or 7 players. How easy it is to teach, how fun it is. Like all these different components should make it a lot more popular than it is, but I feel like it's kind of fallen by the wayside, and it really is a great game. So give a look at Fantasy Realms.
It has those memorable moments too, like you're saying, like, well, when you score the 100-point card, or when you put the 100-point card down because you're finally abandoning it, and you see the person next to you, their eyes light up and they grab it, and you're like, damn it.
Yeah. Or you held on all game and you have 2 of the 3 pieces. Last turn of the game, you snatch it up, and then bam, it's such a fun game.
Yeah. So good stuff. There's expansions for it. There's a anniversary edition or something, deluxe edition with both those in there. And
that's like printed sleeves.
Oh yeah,
really for the price it costs, it really is a steal component wise, and it's a game that once you start getting it to the table, it'll never stop hitting it. It's such a fun game,
and it is just so fast. So yeah, that's a good game, and I agree that not enough people are playing this one. All right, next. All right, this is me. My number 4 here is, again, from 2020, so it's 3 in a row, 2020. Only 470 people have rated this. It is ranked 3,931. And this is a game that I guess was maybe sort of kind of hard to get. That might have hurt it. I think it was also a little expensive. It has had some weird Kickstarters, including one that I think never delivered new copies of the game, or at least new premium pieces for copies of the game. But this is called High Rise. So back when I mentioned Kraftwagen, I'm not sure I mentioned that's a time track game. And so I did say that I like multi-use cards, but I also really like time track games. And this is a time track game. So you have your marker that's going around the outside of the city, and you decide how far you want to jump to go to the next building to trigger something. And there's also incentive for you to jump ahead because there are these piers in the city. And as you cross these piers, there's resources sitting on them, and you get to first choice. You know, when you cross it, you get to take something that's there. So being the first across gives you the thing that you want. So yeah, there's that extra incentive to do that. It also has this idea that you can take corruption to sort of violate some of the rules, but then corruption sort of stacks and can be negative, but it's sort of relative. If everybody else is taking a bunch of corruption and you are too, then it's not that bad, but if a bunch of people take corruption, one person doesn't take any, then that could be bad. So that's sort of interesting. But, it's got this sort of, Monopoly feel to it. You're going around a board in a circle, and you're these buildings and properties that you're buying up, essentially. But you're collecting materials to build these tall buildings. It has a really good table presence because you build these buildings of various numbers of floors, and then you get a big standee to stick on the board of the height of the thing that you build. So it's a fun game, a nice table presence. You can play it in 2 or 3 rounds, so it has that variable length. The 3-round game is not short. It is long. The 2-round game is a good length for me personally. I did a how to play on the channel for this, or at least an overview video. I think we have a review as well. The designer did like a detailed how to play with all the different caveats and etc. And it's like an hour long. So this game has a lot of, it's not that complicated. It's got a little bit of things to, in different situations, like different things. Yeah.
Heaven and Ale meets Lords of Waterdeep.
I haven't played Heaven and Ale, but
so you're going around this track, and you can jump ahead if you want. You get all these ingredients that you can use to make building tiles that you put out onto the board. It's very, very similar in concept. Also a good game.
Yeah. So I know the designer, and I backed the Kickstarter for this, and so there's one of the companies you can play in the game is Eckman Engineering. But I have backed some Kickstarters before and put like my wife in there as custom art, and then you get the game, and it's a typical Kickstarter stinker. But this one I was really happy with how it came out, so I'm glad. All right, and hopefully I've heard that this publisher is selling off all their properties to new companies, so hopefully this will be getting a new version, new reprint, or something soon. Anyway, High Rise, I highly recommend it. That's my number 4. So Erock. Oh, I recognize this game because it's so orange.
I had a couple of different drafts of this list. When it was brought up, I'm sorry?
You don't say. That's very Erock
I do
of you.
say. When it was first brought up, I sat and just kind of looked around the game room and wrote like 24 things down. And then I set them up into a top 10 and all this. And then I actually researched a little bit. And there are games on this list that I did not even imagine that they were this far down the list. I assumed they were somewhat more relevant. This is a prime example. This orange, glorious worker placement game of asking for Trobils, which is currently ranked 2,827. I would have never just put this on a list. I would not have believed it was ranked that low. This is a really cool game, and it flows fast. It's one of the things I really like about it, and it plays a ton of people. 2 things that are fantastic. Plays a ton of people, plays fast. On your turn, you do one thing. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to get a couple of these things. I'm done. Your turn. Every once in a while, you got to pull all your things back because, well, you ran out of ships. When you run out of ships, you spend a turn pulling them back and doing nothing. But if you can figure out where your opponents are going, or just get lucky enough that they go where you're already at, they bounce your ship back to you. So you don't have to waste as much time just getting them back for a turn. If you keep bouncing them back to me, I'll never have to take a take back action. I'll get to play turns the whole game. And I think this is basically half of this game, is trying to get simply more turns than anybody else. And the other half is working it to get all the resources that you need to be able to defeat the Trobils and then throw them into the sun, as they should be done. And I think this game's fantastic. Like I said, I was stunned. I'd never thought this was going to be on this list. I would never have thought of it. And here we are, because it's ranked just barely under 3,000, asking for Trobils.
I mean, nobody talks about this game. Definitely not 2 weeks ago during our live stream did I bring this game up.
I definitely didn't buy the deluxe edition on Kickstarter when it was reprinted.
Me neither.
Yeah. I had the big fancy alien looking box, but I gave it away because I fit everything in the base game box that I wanted, and I'm all about shelf space. But
yeah, but this one's so awesome. Like, it's on the end of one of our, and you just see the, it's so great.
No, I mean, it's great. And my favorite thing about the game is actually getting the upgrade placards for your ship and powering up when you go to the stuff. So I like that about the game. And of course, the space theme stuff. I like the space theme stuff, as you may have been able to tell. So all right, that is our number fours. Let's move on to number three. And John, I recognize that game, man. Love this game.
I've decided that I'm gonna bribe Steven in to help me get this thing reprinted somehow or updated. It's been talked about. I still haven't seen anything on it, but this is the red-headed stepchild to a very popular evergreen game. It's got a lot of the DNA of Ticket to Ride in it because it is made by Alan R. Moon, and you can definitely see the similarities in the design. And this is Airlines Europe. You are investing in airlines, but you don't own them. They're not your airlines. You're not in charge of them. It's you're not building your own train route. You're working collaboratively to make an airline more successful, and then you get paid out based on how much stock you have. So you want to play the game in a way where you get more stock, you control more stuff, but if you do too much of that, if you jump out and you go, I'm the CEO of this plane, nobody's going to be in charge of it but me. Everyone's going to go, okay, well, you're on your own. And then your plane's going nowhere. Your company's going to be low on the shit. It's not going to be worth much. It's never going to be traded. And it's counterintuitive. So you have to kind of keep your business dealings varied. You have to diversify your bonds and get into a couple of different airlines so that multiple people are pushing that airline along so it's more powerful. And then at the right time, because there's exactly 3 scoring phases, including the very last thing that happens in the game is the final scoring phase. And the key is to jump out in control of some of those key airlines right as they're about to score and get a bunch of points and outmaneuver everybody. And you do that with a very similar style of Ticket to Ride. There's colored tickets. You draw the colors, and then you're trying to play them out of your hand to gain money, to purchase more planes. And it's just a really fun game. And it's the kind of game that I enjoy because there's no clear answer. It's not, hey, if you go here, you're going to get 15 points, and then that's going to be points at the end of the game. It's very much you're playing the players at the table, not the game. And I wish there was more games like this where there's no set strategy of winning. There's no like, hey, if you do this every time, if you do big money, if you do this, because people are just going to see you doing that and go, oh, you're on your own, and then you're on a sunk airport, you know. So it's a very varied game. I would love for this to get a reprint or an update or any kind of remake whatsoever. And when you compare it to Ticket to Ride and the popularity of the two, it's so disparate that it's a little bit depressing because it is such an amazing game and it is so overlooked. So I really wish more people played and had access to Airlines Europe.
Yeah, we talk about games being tight, and I don't know, off the top of my head, this would be, if you ask me what's the tightest game you own, this is what I would think of. Because in this game, you just, on your turn, there's so many things you want to do, and you can't do them all, and you know the scoring card's going to come up before you can do the things, and so you don't want to waste any action, anything. And, you know, putting down the shares to get money is sort of a wasted action if you do it too early, because you know, if you wait, you put down more shares and you get more money, but waiting to put down shares is going to blow up in your face because that scoring card is going to come before you do it. And so and also you need money, right, too, to do things. So yeah, just the economy of actions in this game, so tight. I really enjoy this one. And John, you and I should talk to Alan R. Moon. We'll start our own publishing company, get a new version of this out in the wild.
When did that come out?
A little bit. Oh, it's probably, I think it was pre-Ticket to Ride, wasn't it?
Well, so there was a game called Airlines that came out before Ticket to Ride.
Right.
And Airlines Europe is a remaking of Airlines, but Airlines Europe came out after Ticket to Ride.
Right.
So.
I'm just saying, like, they like to put out 10th anniversary editions of things.
I'm pretty sure
Alan R.
it's past
Moon,
10th anniversary.
Alan R. Moon said this game will not be back in its current form. So
that's kind of a hint, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, he's kind of keeping it out there, but he hasn't put any solid plans.
I think it was a little more vague like that. I think it was like, if it comes back, it won't be in its current form, right? Or something like that. You know, he made some statement like that. So
it'll be in Everdell world.
Oh, I'm out.
The skunk will be in there.
Yeah. All right. Well, here is my number 3, and buckle up because I'm in the 5 digits now. This is ranked 11,373. And
are there even that many games? That's crazy.
All my games are ranked. I've got 5 digits now. Only 201 people have rated this game. It is from 1976, so I'm pretty sure this is the oldest game that you will hear about.
It predates Star Wars
as well. Indeed, it does. So way back before we did Gaming Through Time, I had just decided to make a geek list on Board Game Geek where I just talked about my favorite games from every year, starting at 1975, and I just had a hole at 1976. So I started looking like, well, what are the games from 1976? Are any of these good? And I saw Kendo, and I was like, all right, well, this sounds pretty interesting. So this is Kendo. I got a copy, and it's just a completely abstract game, right? You can play it with 2 to 4 players, and you just have these 3 different pieces: the 1, the 2, and the 3. And the 1 is, I don't know, called your prince or something. And the goal is whoever gets that 1 into the middle wins the game. But the number on the piece is also how far it moves, but it also has to fully move that distance to move. Like you can't move a 3 only 2 spaces, right? So you can move and you can capture the piece that you land on, but it's like you move your 3 right up next to somebody's 2, and that 2 can't do anything about it, right? It's blocked. You're just blocking it. So now you got to move some other piece into position to scare that 3 off, right? And, you know, you can't just move a 3 into position to scare off a 3 because that 3 can take that 3. But if you move a 2 into position where it could take a 3, now the 3 has to run because it can't take that 2, but it could get taken by it, you know, like, or you could defend it by something else that will just move into its space, right? So it's got all those sort of, you know, depths of what do you this turn, that turn, etc. But when you play 4 players, you start right up next to one of your opponents. It's sort of crazy. It turns into a bloodbath real fast. So, but anyway, this is an abstract game, and I got a couple of abstract games on my list. Spoiler. But this one I play with my kids, right? And my kids enjoy it, and so that's another big bonus for this one for me. But you can play it with adults too. It's thinky, but it doesn't have to be. Right? It's sort of like playing chess or checkers. Something it's only as thinky as you want it to be. Anyway, that is Kendo, rank 11,373. So
that's
top,
the most hidden of gems. So
yeah, top that, Erock.
I think Bob's trying to top all of us. I think he put a super chat through. He said he'll give us $5 if someone lists one small step.
Yeah, I think
Sorry, Bob, I've never played it.
I haven't played it either, and I think it's a space game, right? Like One Small Step for Mankind.
I think it's that, like, yeah, mission to the moon kind of thing.
There are so many space games I would like to play. Leaving Earth, by the way, I think would be at the top of that list, but it's so super in depth. And Godspeed is, it's space themed. Like it's the space race, but then like historical fiction because it goes off the rails. Anyway, but so there's a lot of these great games, space games I would love to play. You could tell I love space as a theme. So yeah, I was gonna mention it eventually, but I was hoping one of you guys had actually played it would say something. But sorry, Bob.
I haven't played it.
Yeah.
It admits the list.
Bob, come play it with me at BGG Con, man.
All right, so my number 3 is a simple little card game. This is another one of those, I can't believe it's ranked this low. The ranking on this game is 4,419. This is a social deduction game in which there are basically 2 different things going on. Just like something like the Resistance, there are 2 teams. There's a blue team and the red team. The thing is, somebody got infected with an alien. The blue team wants to keep that thing from getting to Earth. The red team works for the corporation. They want to take it to Earth. So you don't know who's on which team. In addition to all of that, you have no idea who's infected. So you have these 2 different layers going on in this social deduction game.
You don't even know if you're infected.
Exactly. You don't even know if you're infected. Right. Now, like most social deduction games, the red team knows the other red teams. Right. But the blue team doesn't know anybody. So you have that resistance dynamic going on, as it were, but nobody knows who's infected. When the game starts, somebody is. It's a face down card. You don't look at the cards, and then depending on the dice you roll, you might get to look at somebody else's card to see if they're infected or not. But what if they're a red team? Can you believe them when they say that's the infected person? So like these 2 different layers of this social deduction going on in this game, and the actions that you take are just you roll a die and you take that action. And if you don't like that action, you get to roll one more time, but then you're taking that action. Or maybe not. Maybe you just put it on your card and hold it for a little while. Like if it's shoot somebody or heal somebody, maybe I'm just going to put that on my card because that might matter later. Right now, I don't know who to shoot. In a couple of rounds, I might very well know who to shoot. So, and the length of the game is basically how many times does the engine fire? Once you roll a die and an engine fires, you're done with your turn. That goes to the middle of the table. Once you hit a certain number of those, the game is over. The game could be over in 5 or 6 turns. It might not be 20 turns. You just don't know. It's how fast these engines fire. So you have an X number of time to try and figure out what's going on. Who's the good guys? Who's the bad guys? Who's infected? And once that engine fires for the last time, everybody makes one choice of somebody to throw out the airlock. If it was the person that was infected, good guys win. If it wasn't, bad guys win. That's the game.
I love voting to throw myself out the airlock because I think I'm the infected.
Right? Because you win. You're like,
and I always vote to airlock Steven, so he's gone.
Absolutely. I'm like, it's me. Just throw me out. We'll win.
Did you say the name of the game?
Throw me out. I don't know if I said this is Burke's Gambit. Fantastic. I think this is my favorite social deduction game, with the exception of Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. But that's kind of social deduction adjacent, not really social deduction in my book. But
it's more deduction than social deduction.
Yeah, exactly. Because everybody's kind of doing the same thing. Whether you're the killer or not, you're still just going, oh, it could be that and that. Oh, it could be that and that. So,
Didn't Burke also do Dark Moon, the formerly Battlestar Galactic Express?
No, it's not the same designer. If that's what
No, it's not. That was cool. But yeah, good game.
Yeah, Patrick is a big cheerleader for Burke's Gambit.
Yep.
He is, yes. I've played this many times at his house.
Yeah,
if it wasn't for him, this would be a gem to me.
He played this as a prototype and wanted to sign it, but the designer went with a bigger publisher instead. But that was
played
back
it from Steven, who probably played it because of Patrick.
I don't even remember. I have a copy of this game and I like it. And I don't remember where I first got it. No, I played it at a prototype.
Oh, nice.
What was it called? Epic Prototype Con in Orlando. I played it, and then so I bought a copy when it got published. Yep.
Nice.
All right, cool. What was that? Was our number 3s? So are we up to number 2 now? All right, John, you are up.
So my number 2, I think, has probably got to be the most unfortunate name in board game history. I think it makes the game seem just like a silly, easy to dismiss, pun-filled, Ameritrash. It's so easy to look at this and go, that looks stupid. So it's unfortunate that it has that name because it is a fantastic game. You're essentially moving around the board and using magic wands to get rid of clouds so that you can move further along the board. And in doing so, you are picking up potions and making deliveries to different regions that want those potions. And the theme of it is you are all witches who are flying around on broomsticks and making these deliveries of magic potions. Again, it's the theme that makes it very easy to dismiss, and it's really silly. However, the core of the game is excellent because the way it works is you have 10 cards that all do different things, from moving to delivering to gaining resources so that you can take the potions somewhere, and getting rid of clouds. And then what happens is on your turn, somebody has to lead it. It's kind of a trick-taking game. Somebody has to lead. And say they play the Weather Fairy. If you have the Weather Fairy, you have to play it. It's been selected. If it's in your hand, you play it because you only play 4 cards a round and you select those before the round begins. So you have to read what other people are going to do based on the board state. You have to maneuver around them and beat them as players as opposed to beating the game. But the real crux of it is when you choose, you're either a cowardly fairy or you're a brave fairy, or you're a cowardly witch or you're a brave witch. And the crux of the matter is that only the last person of the round who chose brave gets to take the brave action, which is better than the cowardly action. If you're a coward, you get a little bit of something and then you go away. The brave one is the one that gets the real good stuff. But then because they were so brave, they have to lead the next trick, which is tough because then you're almost guaranteed to not be brave. So it's a very fun card-based game. It's very simple, but like I said, you're playing the players, not necessarily the game. And in doing so, you develop a metagame, and then you start thinking, well, what are they going to do? And you got to try to catch them out. And you might not take the optimal action, but the actions you take, you're going to be last because everyone's doing all this other stuff, and then you're just brave all over the place. So it's a very interesting game. It's very fun, and I would recommend it to anybody. Look past the theme and give it a try because it is an amazing game.
Yeah, if you like games where you have to read other people, like that's it, like you said. They also made a card game version of this, although I think the board game is better.
I don't think you said the name. Is it Broom Service?
Yeah,
It's
Broom Service. Yeah.
Sorry.
I can never remember the name either because it's like
Broom,
witches something.
Broom Service
No,
have
Broom
nothing to
Service.
do with the game. And the
This
Broom
is
Service
another one
itself
of
is a
these-
pun.
Your summary was exactly on point because I saw this game came out when it came out and I was like, oh, that looks stupid. And last week when we were doing designers, I was like, I actually ran across this. I'm like, what? This is a fister?
Yeah.
Seriously? So
I'm
you
telling
got
you,
my
and if you
attention.
played it, you would finish it and go, I cannot believe how good that game was.
I haven't played it. Now I have to.
You have to play it.
There you go. Hidden gem number 2 on John's list. So number 2 on my list is a Kickstarter, a really early Kickstarter because my notes here say this is from 2012, and is ranked 12,391. 78 people, including me, on Board Game Geek have rated it. Although this game had some traction, like they sold it at like, what was it, like the National Geographic store they used to have in malls? Remember that thing used to exist? I'm pretty sure that's long gone.
Oh, yeah,
as,
I went
like,
there all the
every
time. I
mall
summered there.
store. But so it had actual like distribution in a not game store, I guess, was my point. But so this game is called Expedite, and it's very Ticket to Ride as well. You take planes of different colors on your turn, or you get these sort of destination tickets. And these tickets, they say you got to connect to this place, and for so many points. And then each of the air routes between the airports have a number on them. So what you do with the colored cards that you take is one of the actions you can do on your turn is you can buy one of the airports with the colored cards. And they're different shapes, like squares, circles, and triangles, I think, depending on how much they cost, 1, 2, or 3. But if somebody buys one, they, say put 3 down for a triangle, maybe. And they take that, and maybe that's like London or something, like a big city with a bunch of connections and valuable ones coming in. You can then steal that from them by paying 6. And so you put your marker on top of their marker to signify now it's been stolen twice. If somebody wants to steal it a third time, it's going to cost 9. Right? So you keep stealing these airports from each other using these cards that you draft. And why do you do that? Because now when you complete one of these tickets, you can complete the ticket anytime you want as long as there's a valid air path. It's just for each leg in the thing, if it's like, I don't know, London, New York is 4 points. Well, if you're going from London to New York, whoever owns New York gets those 4 points. So out of the... so maybe you're doing a 20-point ticket and you're going to London, New York, to something, and you may have to pay 4 points to John and 3 points to Erock and whatever, but then you get all the rest of the leftover points. But if you own those airports in between, you're getting those points for yourself anyway as well. So, getting these airports, even the more valuable airports, is, how you can score a whole bunch of points. And you can kind of go around somebody in a circuitous route. Also, if you want to avoid giving one specific person points, maybe you want to give them to somebody else, or maybe you're just trying to get them more for yourself. But so it's got that sort of meanness of stealing the airports, which is kind of fun in a lighter game like this. But then just this, create these routes and try to, complete these tickets. I actually like this game better than Ticket to Ride, and I will probably never convince people that this is a better game than Ticket to Ride. But here I'm saying it. Give it a shot if you like that kind of game. This is definitely a good time. I don't know if you can find it. The Kickstarter version came with twice as many tickets, which is nice. But
unless you didn't get the Kickstarter, that's terrible.
What?
So unless you didn't get the Kickstarter.
Well, I
that's
mean,
a different
it's just
video.
the kind of thing where there's like 52 cards maybe in the destination tickets, and you can, maybe that's enough that you can sort of know what all of them are, and so you can sort of, gives you an advantage over people who haven't played, because you know what routes are going to come up, you know which stations or airports to claim or whatever. But with the Kickstarter edition, you had like 104, which is just too many, right? It's for you to be doing that. And so that's why I sort of like that I have those extra cards, but I think it's a good game regardless. So again, Expedite from 2012, rated by 78 people on Board Game Geek. All right, Erock, what do you got for your number 2?
Well, first of all, what I have is a mistake because apparently I can't math. When I set this up, my 1 and my 2 should actually be switched.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to make Steve fix that because he already made our slideshow. So we're going to roll with it the way it is. Number 2 is basically Wordle with a twist. So here's the twist. First of all, obviously, well, I guess not obviously, there's a lot of apps, but first of all, you're playing against a person. So it's somebody who has chosen a word, and then the rest of the person or people are trying to guess what that word is. Kind of standard Wordle rules. Like they tell you if it's there, and also if it's in the right place, right? Except here's the twist. One of the things they tell you is a lie. Every time. It's part of the rules. They have to lie to you every time. One time. So there's the game. The game is trying to figure out where's the lie. There's a lot of skill in this game. It's not apparent when you first play it, but it is the first time you're the clue giver and you give a lie that sells you out, like immediately. You know, not the first word. You know what I'm saying? But let's say you gave a lie in the first word and then you gave a lie in the second word. And it's like, well, obviously he was lying about this. It's like, oh, yes, of course. Like you got to be a little crafty with what you're lying about here to try to keep it consistent to throwing them off the track. This game is called Fiction. Babe and I were introduced to it at Dice Tower, this past one, just 6 months ago or whatever. I think it's really good. Now, this is another one of my niche games. If you don't like word games, if you don't like Wordle, don't bother, because that's what this is. This is Wordle against a person who is also lying to you. This game is awesome if you like word games.
Yeah.
And ranked 6,512.
Ooh, you are getting into the upper reaches there finally. All right.
It should be my number 1, but we're going to backtrack on that a little bit for my number 1 now. But
all right, cool. I'm gonna way one up you on that, but I'm gonna let John go first with his number 1. I think. Yeah, there we go. That's John's number 1.
This is a card-based game called 52 Pickup, where you just take a deck of cards.
I love that game.
Yeah, my brothers hate it.
As does my sister. Yes, I understand.
That's how you play. So clearly this is a game that you're going to be scratching your head as to why it's on the list. I'm going to go ahead and say the name. It's Seven Wonders. It's probably a game most people have heard of or played. It is very popular. It is almost an evergreen, but it's on the list, and I think it's here for a good reason. And the reason is, like I said, back in the day, we used to get a game and we'd play the heck out of it. We would play it until we got sick of it. And eventually, as more games started to come out, people still kept in their collection because they're so fond of it. It's such a good game. It's fun and unique. But we played it so many times that we just got bored of it. And then other games come out, we moved on. However, today it doesn't really get played anymore. People still will break out the Ticket to Ride because it's easy to teach. It's a very simple concept and everyone loves it. Seven Wonders is a little tougher to teach. You get a new player, you have to teach them. You're like, well, here's the list of 72 different icons. Here's what they all mean. Here's your math degree to figure out how the green cards score. And it's a little complicated, but it is worth it once you get people to understand the game, and once you do, everyone loves it. However, I think that people are very reluctant to break this out for those two reasons. It's hard to teach, and we played it so much that we just got bored of it eventually because it's such a good game and we played the heck out of it. Break it back out. Get people to play it. Reintroduce people to it. I think it's a great game. I think it needs to be brought back into a regular play cycle, and I miss it. I miss playing Seven Wonders, and I think there's a lot of people that if you got in the hobby in the last 10 years, you've probably never played it because the people 20 years ago played so much of it that they never wanted to see it again. It's been enough time. We've reset. Break it back out. Let's play some Seven Wonders.
So would you recommend the expansions?
Once you've played a bunch of it, yes. I think the expansions add a lot, but I think there's so much meat to the base of Seven Wonders, even if you just haven't played it in a while. Get reintroduced, go, and then once you start going, okay, I remember how many of these resource cards are in here. Once you start being able to math out like what's going to be in the deck based on the number of players, add cities to it. Once cities has gotten going long enough, then add some leaders to it. The great thing is they're modular. They do different things, and if you really want just that beefier experience, you can play cities and leaders together. And then there's the anniversary pack, where it adds more leaders and it adds more cities and all that good stuff. So I wouldn't recommend some of them, like Babel, Armada. It was okay, but I didn't love it. But those two specifically, I think should be in every box of Seven Wonders if you can. And I think that getting it to the table more often is just going to be a good time.
Yeah,
I agree with your premise. Nobody plays this anymore.
Yep.
I mean, we still have it. I love this game historically, but we play it maybe once a year at this point. But I totally agree with your premise. In retrospect, I agree with one of the things you said. I think it's kind of hard to teach. And I think there have been a lot of games that have come out since then. They're just a lot easier to teach. And I think that's why it might just stay on the shelf. But gamers should play this because this is a great game.
Yeah, I got Cities almost off the bat, really. Or, I mean, as soon as it came out because it added an 8th player. And I resisted getting leaders for a long time, but there are people in my group who like being given a direction, right?
The problem is that the leaders can give too much of a direction and people can feel boxed in, or some of them are really powerful and your neighbors have to know that to know when to stop you. If you get one of the science leaders and you get a bunch of science, like you're going to need a calculator to tally your score at the end, and it's going to be a blowout. So that's why I would say it's for more advanced, because the leaders do require more hate drafting, which is an art form. But they are still very fun and interesting.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'm going to move on to my number one, which is on the other end of the spectrum, and that it's obscure and I doubt anybody's ever heard of it. This is ranked 16,558 on Board Game Geek, so about 10,000 further than the last one you mentioned, Erock. It is rated by...
You win, Steve. You win.
It is rated by me and 32 other people on Board Game Geek. I actually think I learned about this through the Dice Tower somehow, though, so it can't be too terribly obscure. I did a how to play video, put it on our channel. That's what this screen cap is captured from here. But this is a purely abstract game in that you have 2 mice, 2 lions, and 2 elephants. And I'll use a little bit of chess lingo here. The mice move like rooks, the lions move like bishops, and the elephants move like queens. And there are 4 watering holes here in the center, and you capture 3 of those, and you win the game. And so this is, to me, like an introduction to chess. Because what's great about this game is you never take a piece. You never lose pieces in this game. The way that it works is, if you move the lion next to a mouse, that mouse, your opponent then has to move the mouse because the mouse is scared of the lion. Right, so the elephant is scared of the mouse. The lion is scared of the elephant.
Yeah.
So you have that rock paper scissors thing going on, and that is where the sort of abstract strategic nature of this game sort of falls out, because you realize this game is a lot about seizing and controlling initiative. Because on your turn, if you move a piece next to an opponent's piece, you are forcing them to then move that piece on their turn, right? So you are basically very narrowing down the things that a person can do on their turn. Now they can turn that around on you because they can move their piece to a place that maybe makes one of your pieces move, so you want to not let them do that or whatever. But it's about seizing and maintaining and controlling initiative and getting 3 of these places. But it's just a great introduction to abstract games because it's so simple, right? There's 3 pieces and they move in simple ways. One moves on the diagonals, one moves straight lines, and then the other one does both, right? That's super easy to teach. You just need to get 3 on these, 4 watering holes, and you win, and you never lose a piece. So you're never really out of it, right? You're never down a bunch of material or whatever like you have in chess. And so that's why I think this game is great, and I think the only way to get it, and I think you still can get it, is directly from the person who makes it. It's got this roll-up neoprene matte board and these fairly nice and chunky pieces that all fit in a quiver. I don't know what you call that, like thing that you put it all in. It's great, and I played this with my dad, so playing it with adults is okay, but I love playing it with my kids. So anyway, Barca is the name of the game. He used to have the guy who makes this game used to, on his Play Barca website, used to have a Shockwave Flash version of the game where you could play against the computer. I'm not sure Shockwave Flash is a thing anymore, but
that's
so
an
I don't
oldie
know.
but a goodie there.
Yeah, I don't know
Nice.
if you can still play this on his website, but it's from 2010. Yeah, there you go. That's my number one.
There's exactly as many pieces in a box of chess as people that have rated that game.
Indeed. All right. Erock, bring us home.
Okay, well, you've technically already heard my number one, but this is my number two, which is now my number one because that's how I wrote them on the list. This is one of my favorite deduction games. Easily. Like, I have 3 deduction games I love. This is one of them. This game is ranked 5,205. It is a simple deduction game. If you've ever played The Search for Planet X, this is that game without the app. That's probably the problem, is it's without the app. Because you have to ask questions to other people and they have to answer those questions. So therein lies, I believe, the problem in this game is that if somebody because in a normal deduction game, if you make a mistake, you screwed yourself up. You're going to find out when you go, oh, I know where it's at. It's right here. And then it's not here. Then you start backtracking. You're like, oh, right here, I made that mistake. But when somebody else tells you something that's wrong, they screwed you up. So that's hard to stomach. But if you have people that are going to know what they're doing, that you can trust to play this game, play this game. It is a fantastic deduction game. Basically, I don't know if you can see it on the picture or whatever, but like there's like a clock that you can kind of set. And this is kind of how you ask questions and answer them. Like from east to southwest, how many blank are there? Kind of, that's the kind of question that you would ask. And then somebody would look at their little hidden sheet and say, I see 2 between that. You know what I'm saying? So, but if they're wrong, it throws everything off. But I've never had that happen in this game, though I can see where it could be a problem. But I think it's fantastic. Like I said, throw the app out, and this is Search for Planet X. You're just asking the questions to the other people. And one of the things that I absolutely love about this game is you ask them in front of everybody. If there's 5 people playing in this game, and I ask Steve a question, the other 3 people hear that question and the answer. I love it. It's fantastic. As long as nobody screws up, it's great.
So I'm not a fan of fragile games like that. We played a game called Cryptid that has that similar problem in that if somebody messes up, it just sort of breaks
the whole game's invalid.
Yeah,
the whole it's the prequel to Cryptid is what I was going to say.
Yeah. No. So I would love to play the game as long as nobody makes a mistake. But
yeah, that's, nobody can make a mistake. But like I said, I've never played it where anybody did make a mistake. I just see that that's why you have an app. I get it. Because the app doesn't tell you misinformation. So, but if you trust your group and believe that you can do it, play this game. It's fantastic.
All right. Well, let's see. Neutral gave us his top 10. So I'm going to list those off real quick. Santa Monica. I know that game, but I haven't played it.
Never played it.
Conan, another game that I know but have not played.
I have played.
Yeah.
That's I assume he means the one with the
big,
gems
fancy
and like
one, I would assume.
Yeah. That's a good game.
Number 8 is The Godfather Corleone's Empire, which is Eric Lang, right?
Yeah.
Number 7 is Apocalypse Road, which is the Thunder Alley NASCAR game, but instead you shoot each other with guns on your cars. Neutral and I actually have characters in that game, so nice. That was a GMT game, and you could help fund early copies to get your name in the game, so that was fun. Number 7, Sovereign Skies. I don't know anything about.
Never played.
Number 5, Cat Lady.
Never played.
I've heard of Cat Lady, but I still have not played it. Number 4, Drone Home, which I'm trying to think what that is. I've got Dream Home stuck in my head, and that's not it. So yeah, no.
Dream Home almost made my list. That's a surprisingly good little game.
Yeah, there's got a lot of good promos for that one too, by the way. If you don't have them, the little features you can put in the buildings.
But I've never played Drone Home.
Yeah. Number 3, Sheepy Time, which again I've heard of but have not played. Number 2, Monster Expedition. And number 1, the most obscure game on this list, Murder on the Cosmic Express.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. Awesome. I am glad that Neutral likes that game a lot. I put a print and play copy of that game in a charity auction before it got published, and he bought it in that charity auction, and he has enjoyed the game ever since.
I love the game, but I hate the designer. It's one of those. You have to divorce the art from the artist.
Yeah, that's right. Although the actual art in the game by Lamaro Smith is very good.
Yes, indeed it is.
Steve Jackson's Auto Duel, Bob Hazelwood listed. I don't know if I would call that so hidden, but maybe for modern players, Auto Duel is probably not that
nobody knows
popular
Steve
yet.
Jackson.
If you've been playing 30 years, you know Steve Jackson. If you've been only 20, you probably don't.
Steve Jackson is still running Kickstarters, doing a bunch of games. I mean, Munchkin is him, right? So probably a lot of people have heard of that. But
say no more.
They just
redid. The problem is they've heard of that.
They just They just redid Car Wars. Have had new issues of Car Wars. I loved Auto Duel. Is one of my favorite video games of all time. It is absolutely amazing how much game fit in 64K of RAM. I mean, seriously, in Auto Duel, you can
8 RAM to spare.
You can customize your own car and then drive it with a joystick and shoot other vehicles. And it's this whole big role-playing game where you're trying to like solve a puzzle and you go to a casino and you can gamble. It's like this whole sandbox, open world, build your car, shoot everything up, and it runs in 64K of RAM. I mean, what? On a processor that, your blender probably outshines today. I played it on an Apple II. So Illuminati, yes, Illuminati. I had the original version and then the deluxe version. That game.
Oh, I loved Illuminati back in the day, man.
I loved it back in the day. It's a little long to play now. Also, Illuminati is one of those games that says you can cheat right in the rules.
Yeah,
like Automania.
One of the last times I played Illuminati, actually, I remember we all agreed. At the beginning, I was like, "Look, we don't have it a lot of time. We had somewhere we had to go." I was like, "So let's just not cheat, okay? Let's just all agree we're not going to cheat, right?" Because
I love a game where you have to sit down.
The game is already long, but having to watch everybody like a hawk because you're supposed to cheat in that game is. Yeah, it makes it longer. So we all agreed we weren't going to cheat, and then I try to invade somebody's power center, and he reveals he's got a 50 there, which is, he's clearly just cheating. There's no way he has a 50. And I just reached over and scooped all the components into the box. I'm like, game over. Yeah. It was my copy, at least.
I used to play the CCG of this. I think I still have a ton of those cards laying around.
Wow.
I do have one honorable mention.
Just one?
Only one, yes. And that game is Crusader Kings. And the reason that it didn't make my list, I couldn't find a picture that I was legally allowed to use, and I did not feel like setting that game up to take a giant picture of it.
I could have gotten a picture for you, man. I know the voodoo.
What game is this?
Crusader Kings.
Oh, yeah.
It's based on the video game, which I've put hundreds of hours into Crusader Kings 2 and 3. Just real quick, it's a game in medieval Europe, so it's kind of dudes on the map, but it's not really about that. It's more about what your people go through events and stuff. Like you marry your people off, that gets more people in your family. There's all kinds of intrigue and these events happen and things like that. That's really what the game is about. The board game itself is like 3-4 hours, and it is dudes on a map, but it's not really, because everything takes forever. Like you can't just go to war with somebody. That's not how it worked in the medieval ages. Like you have to manufacture a casus belli. Then you have to raise your freaking troops. Then you have to start marching them towards the other person. So it's not like you just blindside somebody and attack them. It's a whole process to go to war. There's a lot of games of this where nobody actually ends up fighting the other people just because it's such an involved process. And it's so involved, I can see it coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can see that you're coming to me because, you got a casus belli against me now? Well, I know in 4 turns, you're going to have enough time to build up an army and march towards me. So I'm going to work against that. But again, it's not about that. It's about the events that happen around the table. It's fantastic. I think it's awesome.
Well, I don't have an honorable mention, but I will say that number 11 on my list was Royals, which John called out. So, yeah, good stuff. Nice. All right.
I would say Cutthroat Caverns, honorable mention, but it's very niche. If you love it, you love it. If you don't, you don't. So, not necessarily a hidden gem to most people, but I love it. Give it a look.
Yeah, and they released a fancy version of it just a few years ago, I think.
Yep.
I don't mind niche. I mean, that's people that aren't in that niche never heard of it.
It's a dungeon fight, so if you've never heard of it, go look at it. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, And there are 3,000 board games that come out every year, right? Like, so,
Yes.
so you could say like, well, everybody's heard of this game, but right? I mean, there's just so many games. Like I said, even there's probably people out there that play games all the time, probably don't even know what Gloomhaven is, you know? So, you know, whatever, but not Pandemic or Catan or Carcassonne. Everybody's heard of those. Come on. All right. Well, we're over an hour and a half here, so I think it's time to call it. I'm Steven. That's John. That is Erock. We're from Just Got Played. I hope you learned about some hidden gems today. Go out and play these games. You will not be disappointed. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Have a beautiful time.
Have a beautiful time.